Well, g'day everyone, how's it going? Coming at you from the studio. It's a bit later in the evening tonight, 7:49 p.m. and I just did some shooting at my church on the EOS R, and I wanted to show you guys some of the footage that I captured. I'm going to do a few videos in the coming days. Tomorrow, actually, I'm shooting something on the EOS R versus the Canon 5D Mark IV, so keep your eyes out for that one coming up later in the week. Also, I'm going to do a setup video on the EOS R just to show you the settings that I've sort of, my go-to settings now after having my hands on the camera for a couple of weeks. I didn't want to put a video out straight away. I wanted to use the camera and get used to it first, figure out some of its quirks, some of the good things, some of the bad things, things I liked and didn't like, so that I can sort of talk you guys through that. And yeah, hopefully this video just shows you some footage I shot in really tough conditions. It's a concert kind of atmosphere at my church when the worship is on and the music is on. So I'm shooting this in quite low light, shooting it in Canon log, pushing the aperture a little bit. So you'll see some, I'll show you the raw footage, I'll show you the graded footage. You can have a look for yourself at the sharpness of it. And let's just say right off the bat that this is a great, fantastic image. It's sharp. This is all shot in 60 frames per second HD. So think maybe 200 megabits per second file kind of bit rate. So it's actually a decent image, and yeah, nothing to complain about at all in terms of sharpness or the look of this image. So let's jump on over to the footage as I show you guys, and let's have a bit of a look together. All right, so just jumping over onto the screen here, let me fire up Premiere Pro. Got a bunch of stuff open at the moment, so just forgive my messy as desktop. I literally just dumped this footage onto the computer, so we're looking at it together for the first time. I just literally made this Premiere project, and this is going to give you guys a basic overview of the way I structure my projects as well. So this is the open screen for Premiere, and in this import media box here, I literally just go import. Sometimes I'll do a drag and drop, other times I'll import if I'm not so sure of where the footage is. So I just dumped it in this Glow Last Sunday vlog, and footage is right there. So I'm just going to drag that whole file in. I'm just going to not drag that in, sorry, import the whole folder directly in, and we'll just skip ahead here to the footage being imported in. Just for your reference too, I'm shooting this right now on the Canon EOS R with HD 25 frames per second, and I'm using the Canon log settings. So I'm looking at the camera, but I see on the side a flippy screen, and I can see myself, and I'm in focus, and the light looks good, and everything is sweet. And so I'm loving the camera so far. So this is just telling me now on Premiere that it's not brought in the files. I took some footage as well as photography, so photographs. It's not brought in the photographs. Just gonna click OK on that, dive straight on in here to the footage. Now, I often use this window to scrub footage. So when I'm just kind of like reviewing what I got, I just sort of pull this up like this, and I just make it massive. Yeah, and I just literally just scrub on through. So just have a look what I got. So just kind of seeing the lights, and this was just getting my settings kind of set up for the camera, and it's taking a little bit to buffer. So I shot this in with a 24mm f1.4. I think I was wide open at 1.4, so that's all looking pretty cool. So I got a bit closer to stage, and so well, when it decides, here we go, to load. That's cool. Sweet. So all this is shot in, I said 25, but actually this is 60 frames per second. So let us get some footage where, let me see what I got here that might show a little bit of what I'm talking about. Something I kind of got in focus. Now the focus assist was incredible on the camera. And I did a little bit between manual and a little bit between autofocus, but mainly back to manual because there was a lot of light, so focus was jumping around a little bit. It was difficult to track faces, but what was interesting was it really showed, yeah, an outline, a red you know, color where I might grab this shot here of Monty and drop it down into the timeline, but literally the focus assist showed me where the camera was working in focus, where it wasn't working, what was happening with all that. So let me just grab an in point here and an out point. And so just press I for in and then scrub to where I want to go out, and I do a little ramp here with the lens. And this is shot on the 70 to 200. So let me just grab that and drop it straight in my timeline. Cool. So now in my timeline here, I've got, hey, there I am. Yo. In my timeline here, I've got the shot, and it looks like it is fit to size. Cool, cool, cool. So let's just have a look at the raw clip directly out of camera playing back on my computer. So that's the raw Canon log clip. Sweet, so there it is. So that's my raw clip. Now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to slow this clip down. So my sequence settings, I think it would have conformed to 50. I'm actually going to ask it to be 25. And I'm going to go okay. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually go back to that footage. I'm going to go back to that footage. Where are we here? I'm going to right click on the footage and I'm going to go modify interpret footage. I want this footage to be 25. So I'm going to interpret it to 25. Now I'm going to drag it in to, oh, it's changed my in point out points. That's always something to keep in mind. So I'm going to just redo in point and out point. Let's do that. Drop it in. Sweet. This is what I want. I want it in slow motion. Cool. So let's jump in a little bit maybe with my system doing so much stuff, but let's have a look at how sharp it is. So let's go up to 100. Let's have a look at see how sharp it is out of camera. I didn't want to do that. We go 150. So it's got some softness and issues. Maybe my focus wasn't perfectly spot on. Certain points here. But let's go and do some grading on this footage. So first things first, I want to go and do my Canon log LUT. So I'm going to go Canon. Now it's log 1, so I'm not sure what the difference is here. This is the first time I'm actually applying a look to the footage. So let's go with a boof, something like this. What else have we got here? Something like that maybe. That's about right. Yeah, cool. So that's a good starting point. It's a pretty good starting point. And then I'm going to saturate it more, a bit more. I think white balance I'm going to adjust a bit as well. And let's go to sharpen this. Sharpen the bajup-jups out of this. Sharpen up and see if it holds up to some mega sharpening. So it's not going to play back smooth for me. I can see the artifacting in that too. It's not going to play back probably unless I render that, but it's not bad. I've just got it. Not bad at all. Let's find that back at real time. It's weird. Alright, so there's one clip. Let's go have a look at some others that we got in the mix. Here's one I thought might be good. Let's have a look at. So that's in log, and I was shooting that, yeah, pretty much in the dark, as you can see. Let's just put a look on it, see if we can get some white balance here. Just adjusted it a little bit. So that's really very tough conditions for the camera. Probably the toughest kind of conditions that the camera would ever really see. There we go. This is a pretty tough scene here. That's pretty good ungraded, but obviously as soon as you bring in the grade, you're going to be introducing things. So that's then graded, so you're going to be introducing a lot of noise into the blacks image. But that seems to have graded up really, really well. I'm really happy with that. It's more than usable as it is. You could probably do a denoise pass, so you get through some of this fixed noise that you can see from the lighting bleed. But generally speaking, that is really, really decent. So you probably apply some saturation to that, crush the blacks down a bit more, and then you've got although it won't buffer for me, if I just leave the blacks, maybe just apply saturation. It's just the one grade on that. And that's really good. Like the thing with it is, I think with this camera is that, you know, that was pushing this sensor beyond its capabilities, like well beyond what it can do, what you should be doing with it, what you would normally be doing with it. Mega different lighting situation with full black and full light coming out of the light, so mega dynamic range situation. Even shooting in the sun would have been a little bit less tricky for the camera to understand than this scenario. So the fact that it's got some usable footage from the night tonight, I'm really happy with. And yeah, I've just been using it. I like the controls, and you would think when you hold it and go check it out in the store, maybe you grab hold of it and you think, oh, it doesn't feel that. Feels a bit funny in the beginning when you kind of, hold it the first time and stuff like that. But actually, it's really intuitive when you're using it. And I was shooting in the dark, and I'll put up a photograph here, but this is basically what the scene was like on the camera to shoot with. And I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, that image. So you can see around the camera, the settings and everything was pitch black. And I managed to navigate my way around the camera. This is the third or fourth time I've been out with the camera. So the fact that the ergonomics of it is such a way that I could use and utilize, and I could actually figure out where everything was, figure out where my buttons were. And funny thing, using it handheld, I was a little bit like, I'm not so sure about the button layout when I was using it handheld, but I was using this on a monopod. And so where the controls were and where everything sat was really actually great. And it worked really well. So, and it was intuitive, and on the actual mono, it's sitting in front of you, so you got your hands kind of free, and the focus and everything just really worked really nicely. I wasn't fumbling around at all, even though it's a completely different layout to the 5D Mark IV. So that's just some initial thoughts on it, some initial test footage that I got from the camera. And yeah, hopefully you guys can see that, it is great. Yeah, the first footage that I've got from it in this tough scenario is looking really good straight out of camera. So I may do some more work on that footage. I may denoise it in post and do some other things, because like I say, it was a mega tough lighting situation. But yeah, way to push the camera beyond what it's probably designed to do and still see it hold up, still see it produce an image that would be usable in any of my productions that I'm currently doing. So hopefully that's helped you guys out a little bit, just to see some of the initial footage that I captured from the EOS R. And if you've got any questions, leave them down in the comments. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and like this video if you liked the content. And thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next week, later next week, for a video on the actual EOS R versus the Canon 5D Mark IV. So keep your eyes out for that. We'll see you soon. Bye for now.